Well, okay, let's not talk about the coronavirus. Jesus, that's Murphy, that's bright. Fine, I set up some lights. Is everybody happy? Hit my mic. Fine, I set up some lights. Is everybody happy now? I set them up. Oh my God. Anyways, as you all know, my name is Sandwich Jones. I love a sandwich. I love a nap. I love to make art. One of the things I love to do is make music videos with my buddies. And I don't have a normal style in the sense of what most people do when they make music videos. I'm kind of chaotic. I like spontaneity. I like when I'm surprised at the end. And by surprised, I mean, holy crap, did we pull this off? A big part of that is completely in the approach. Usually when someone hits me up to do a video, they say, well, this is the song, check it out. And then we kind of go back and forth about what we can do with it. Hi there. Usually it's a general idea and it builds from there. And it's really cool. I love doing it. I think it's so much fun because, you know, you can start with something so simple and then just let it rip. What comes with that though, sometimes there's some hard learning lessons. In particular, the one I'm about to tell you about. This, I've got some good pals. I'm distracted by cats. Can you guys stop? But I've got some great pals in this band called Until the Dead Walk. The first video I did with them, I set the bar really high in the sense of I showed up and in 4 hours, we shot, lit, did everything for the video. I came home and within 30 minutes we had the edit done. The only note was make it a little brighter because I shoot a little dark and that was it. It was as simple as that. So video did really well and I was really stoked on that because I always try to one up what I do. And that video was this really cool, like different style for me because it's a heavy band. It's a beat down metal band. And I've shot a lot of metal videos, but that one those bands usually have a very specific style. It's a lot of transitions and jump edits and stutters. And I'd never really done that before, but it just worked. I knew what I wanted. It was really cool. Even the color grade, it was like, got it. So it was really, I was just confident as hell. I did some videos in between here and there. You know, it was a good year, good end of the year. January of this year, 2020 as a whole, has been really rough. And I definitely felt it. I lost 4 good people this year already. And when I'm going through something like that, basically the only thing I know to do is just to work. So I already work 24/7, 7 days a week, 365. And I definitely somehow managed to do more in that time than normal. The day I shot this video in question, I actually shot 2 other videos earlier in the day with my friend Frank, who you should check out. Makes amazing hip hop, very lyrical. Just had a blast working with him. I've known him forever. Swell guy. But yeah, I shot 2 videos with him in downtown Cincinnati, and then instantly drove from Cincinnati to Louisville and shot with Until the Dead Walk. Now, the first location for the first video was great. We had it all set up. Cookie is an amazing fella. He did all the lighting with some cues from me and using these lights. And we did some really cool things with transitions. Now, when you're talking about doing these types of bands and you want to do the stutter edits, the best way to go about that is to take and shoot a bunch of stuff with crazy saturated lights. We used lots of reds and blues, and then instantly switch over and do a couple performance takes with just lights like these and kind of bring the brightness down a bit and set 2 tones and use this general light and not the saturated ones for your stutters. And that worked so well. Just kind of a spur of the moment kind of idea. With this new video, we shot it at their practice space. We don't have locations for these videos 90% of the time. Most of the stuff I do has no budget or very little budget, so we work with what we got. Their practice space was a little bit smaller, long ways, and that definitely made some challenges. So we shot everybody individually, except for with the 2 vocalists. We did a couple of takes with them together and a couple of takes solo. We used the same lighting situation with Cookie, and he always builds a light show based off of the song to kind of make it more dynamic for the video, which is awesome. And if you're ever looking for a light guy and you're in Louisville or Lexington or Cincinnati, that's your man. He's on it, and he does live sound and all that, so he's great. With the first video, I stayed very true to what I normally do, which is to get as much light into the sensor as possible. Whereas the second video, my brain was in a million different places and I just didn't think about it as much. And I'm really meticulous usually, but in this situation, I was just like, well, let's try to go a little darker and see what happens. The G85 being a micro four thirds sensor, that really wasn't the wave. Can you guys not knock my camera over? Thank you. Really wasn't the wave. I'm pretty picky about noise in shots unless I'm adding noise with grain. This was noisy, and by God was it noisy. So noisy. It made me sad. I was instantly depressed. I was like, I'm really happy with the performances. I'm really happy with the compositions. I'm really happy with the in-camera lens stuff I was doing. I'm doing a lot of whacking where you move the lens in front of the sensor, and just, I was really happy with the performances. And we got some slow motion stuff, and I was like, yeah, but noise. So it bummed me out. I'm very fickle creatively. If something bums me out with whatever I'm working on, I have a hard time bouncing back, and I have to like have a gotcha moment to reel it back in. And this was definitely no different. What ended up working out though was I decided to take, instead of doing the final product like I normally do in 4K, we dropped it down to 1080, and that helped because everybody will say the 1080 is just fine to shoot in and final product. I don't believe that. I believe if you have the resolution to shoot it, because if you have a bunch of noise and grain in 4K and you drop it down to 1080, you're bringing all that and making it smaller, and you're making a cleaner image, and it's just sharper and has more contrast. Because I also hate digital sharpening. If you can make it look good with lots, it's all about contrast. If you light something well and you develop a nice amount of contrast, then you're gonna get that sharpness. But man, that was like, I was struggling for a good week. And I guess, with all the stuff going on in my personal life, it wasn't helping. I was really trying to force the creativity, which doesn't work. So while we were shooting that video, we also did some like little things where we drug the bass player Tracy through the ground, drug him over the ground, and did a bunch of crazy stuff to get these, to try to build a narrative, because the song is about being held hostage by a serial killer.
Wait, let me take my own video. Wait, don't start yet.
You can't post it.
Ooh. Excite me.
All right.
Drag him. Keep going.
And not seeing your family again. But man, like, we didn't get a ton of shots, and mostly we were just having fun. Anytime you get to drag your friend across the ground, that's generally pretty fun. When it came time to do the edit, I built the performance of it and was like, cool, yeah, we're going somewhere. And then I realized we didn't have a ton of narrative footage.
Show them the teeth, boy. Let me out! No, yeah.
Let me out.
No!
Let me out, see?
So about a week of looking at that stuff, I was like, well, probably won't use much of this. And finally I had a gotcha moment. I built this intro and I was pretty happy with that. And a little bit of time goes by and I find out that they're gonna play at the Thompson House, which is not that far from me. It's in Newport, Kentucky, which is, we all just call Newport part of Cincinnati, or at least I do. I'm on the east side of Cincinnati though, so that'll vary. So I go down and we shoot some extra shots in the parlor room of the Thompson House, which is a super creepy old building, and it's awesome. I love that place, and everybody that works there is super great, and I've played a ton of shows there and filmed there, so I know them. We go over there. In the parlor room, I have Ren, their vocalist, hold one of these lights. It's just an LED panel from an angle, and I film from behind and I get some shots on the ground, and there was fake blood on the wall, or at least I hope so. So I got some shots of that, came home, looked at it and was like, now we're on to something. One extra element to bring all this together into misery, pain, and anguish for me was they had a guest appearance by Mystique. She is a classical, I don't know if she's classically trained, but she plays classical piano, and she does it over heavy songs. She just picks random heavy songs, hits them up, does something cool with it, does her own thing. So she did that for them, and we wanted to have her in the video, so we hit her up. And we're like, can you do it on a black background? It'd be great if you could shoot it in 4K. It doesn't matter. Not a lot of movement. We're gonna do all that in post, because I'm a firm believer that the way I move a camera is gonna be different, way different than the way someone else moves a camera. So why just do it in post? As much as I hate trying to just do something in post, let's keep that stuff in post. We get the footage back. I'm pretty sure it's shot with a phone. It's on a white background. It's shaky, which is her brand. It looks like her brand. When you watch her videos, it looks like her videos. So it was a matter of, do we want to be pissy and say, hey, do it again, or embrace that this is what her brand looks like. People will know her by this, and go for it. So I set out to build a composition around it. What I did was I took some frames from the stuff we shot at the Thompson House, and I built a room in Photoshop that was kind of, really dark, Silence of the Lambs kind of style. And I put a TV and put the footage onto that and made it look old, and made it to where it looks like he's being held hostage. It's like a CCTV camera setup, and that's what he's staring at while he's being tortured or whatever is going on. So the coolest way I figured out to do that was to build the composition in Photoshop, and then instead of making it 1080, which is going to be the output, I wanted to be able to do some pans and moving around in that space, but without having to build a crazy After Effects composition. I just made it about 6,000 pixels wide, and then around 2K tall. So I'd have a little room on the top and a ton of room left and right to where I could pan the camera across and do a couple moves and add some camera shake and post to give it some life. It worked out pretty well. And so then it was a matter of just intercutting little things from the Thompson house and the stuff we shot when we first shot the rest of the footage and just build around that. So we were able to build a narrative without building a narrative. We had enough footage that we could tell a story and keep it light as far as, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? We didn't have to tell you a whole bunch of stuff to tell you a story, basically. And we still kept the focus on the performance and the movement, and everything kept moving. And in the end, I'm super happy. That's really the point of the story, is that it went from miserable, I think I completely boned this, I'm gonna reshoot it and I hate myself, to this could work, to this worked, I'm super thankful, and it's not the end of the world. It is yet to be the end of the world in all the videos that I've shot. It'll happen, I'm sure, but there's a couple of takeaways I want to give you for this. Even if you're a seasoned vet, these are things to think about. Number one, you got to set your expectations. If you have no budget and you're working with what you got, don't say it's going to be some movie directed by Martin Scorsese or a Blumhouse production or something crazy. You're going to make something unique, and it's going to be what it is, and you've got to embrace that. That's not a bad thing, because that video is going to look like you did it, the band's brand and everything else. Two, number two, have a plan, but don't think you've got to stick to that plan or stick to what you normally do or what you know works. Take risks. Give these other potentials a chance, and always find new ways to tell a story. Number three, don't overwork your damn self. I was doing 4,000 or 5,000 music videos at once. I was doing all the graphic design and all the expo work I do, and I'm part of several different companies that I work for as well, doing art, and I was also doing drawing illustrations for different bands and just all this stuff at once. And I would normally say that that's healthy and fine, but at some point you've got to slow down and you've got to reassess, especially when everything in your personal life is going to shit. So just chill and not take on so much and relax. It's gonna be fine. It's really the best way to put it. There's other ways to say it, but that seems like the best way. And finally, know your software, know your camera, and know the best way to get the best out of that. You can go buy a Red tomorrow. You can go buy a Canon EOS 1DX Mark III or whatever's out now. You can go buy Alexa, the LF, because they shot the Joker on it. You can invest in a ton of money in all this stuff, but if you don't know what your capabilities are, or you don't have the technical know-how to do this stuff, it's not gonna matter. Like, this is the Blackmagic, it's a great camera, but the first time I turned it on, even though I've been doing this for a really long time, I was like, holy crap, there's a lot of noise in the shot. And it was because this doesn't have noise reduction. This is not a DSLR. This is a cinema camera, and it does not have any of that stuff. And it doesn't need to, because it's made for a single purpose, and that's to be a cinematic camera. Even if you have a Canon T2i Rebel, which is what I ran for a really long time, you can make something awesome, but you got to know your stuff. When people hit you up to shoot something, you got to be out there swinging the bat. But this video I've been talking about, there wasn't a moment of concern that I didn't know what I was doing when I was shooting it. And even though I was miserable and upset about my performance and how I captured it, I didn't let that go completely to my head. I just had to take some time and wrap my head around my options. You got to know your options. You got to see the bigger picture, even if it takes a couple of days. But I always stayed communicating with everybody. I never led them on. I was always just like, give me time, I got this. We were luckily working with a flexible schedule. We could make it work. And I'm gonna leave it at this, because I've had to shoot this twice and now I'm just fucked. Excuse my French. Don't look at something as a failure, but rather look at it like a corrective situation. Could I have done certain things better? Sure. Did I fail? No, everybody's happy. Did I manage to pull off? Yeah. At the end of the day, it comes down to the end product and what you take away from it. They left with a great product. I'm very proud to show it to people. I think don't shake my camera. I think we worked really hard on it. I think it looks great. It tells a story. It's super creepy. It's a metal band and it's definitely a heavy video. And I took away some great lessons from it. That video single-handedly is the reason I bought this Blackmagic. Not because I needed another tool, because it was going to automatically make things look better, but I wanted the lower exposure quality. This camera, as far as low light, has been pretty damn impressive. And I think since it's in RAW, I have a little bit more flexibility, and I'm excited about that. But this does not automatically make my stuff better. So that's just how it is. And this was another tool to get some more flexibility out of what I do. And I cannot wait to shoot something with this camera besides shit here in the house. But all jokes aside, with the coronavirus, I hope everybody's safe. My feelings and heartfelt thoughts are with everybody that is being affected. I know it's affecting our industry, and lots of people are losing out on money to survive, and a lot of people are sick, and a lot of folks are losing loved ones, and that sucks. But if I had to ask you for one favor for old Sandwich Jones' sake, I would say that, can you just stop with I'm not saying you guys, I'm saying there are people that do this. The people on Facebook saying this is some political ruse or some other crazy shit. This is a situation that everybody's trying to handle the best they can, and saying all this stuff is without actually knowing anything or actual facts is affecting people that don't know how to think for themselves or really trust your opinion, and they're spreading it to someone else and they're spreading it to someone else, and that isn't good. Take this situation for what it is. Take it for the scariness that it could be, and hope for the best, and stop assuming that it's something it isn't. Whether it is or isn't, it doesn't matter. Just keep everybody in your heart. But anyways, this is the second time I'm shooting this. I hope this one makes sense. I shot the other one without lights because I was being lazy. Sandwich Stone's out. Kiss my ass. Jeez. Shut up.